Ulonka tabati yada to ye ko madaifa. Ino to ye ko je love baby pa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo eshu, ogun oya osun. Kini sheshe, tan she nile yo. O jelo jara.
Alafia, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisa Gbemi, and we are back, family, with another war report with the brother Bdell 1014 in the building, man. We about to go ahead.
Salute to everybody.
Yes, sir. Burn this thing down. Shout out to the tribe in the building. Shout out to all the rice bowls and all the Bdell 1014 channel members with the rice bowls in the chat. I see y'all, man. We appreciate the love and support, family, for sure. So before we get going into this war report, I want to give a couple of quick announcements and a couple of huge shout outs, man. Shout out to the new channel members as always, new channel subscribers as always. Shout out to the Patreon community. We got several new members in there. Appreciate y'all, everybody who showed up to the call yesterday. I look forward to sharing, the revised extended edition to the presentation, man. So appreciate everybody who showed love and support for that yesterday in the Patreon community. So with that, family, shout out to Professor Kaba and his son Heru Nasset. Heru has he's doing some charity work for the youth, and I want to share a little bit about some of the work that he's doing real quick before we get started and share the links. Hopefully we can get the tribe to go and support. So brother Heru has a Black History of Excellence tour going on. It's a powerful initiative that celebrates and educates people of melanated and Black history, leadership, and the impact, that it has on our youth. So if you're able to consider, showing any type of support, family, I'm gonna share the link in the chat and in the comments. If you could check out the link and check out, the organization that he has going, which is doing great work in the community. So shout out to brother Heru. He's also a content creator and a designer, digital designer. He's the one responsible for the channel art on the cover photo for the channel, man. Dope designer as well. So shout out to brother Heru, man. I definitely look forward to doing my work with him and sharing this initiative, for the tribe and support. So I'll share the links in the chat, family. So I appreciate all y'all in advance. And with that, I'm ready to get this party started. Bdell, what's good with you, brother? How you doing, man?
How you doing? Ready
to get it in, bro. Ready to get it in. Would you say we came to get it straight, set it straight for the people?
Oh yeah, we finna set the record straight. Because we are in the beginning of the final stages of the Metatronic overlay. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to be breaking down politically, civically, celestially. All these things, correspond together. So it's one of those things where I'm just going to crack this whole thing open because it also deals with the multitude of the Psyops that's going to be taking place on American soil. So we can get into that.
Yeah, and it's a lot that I'm hearing a lot of stories about too. And another thing too, I don't want to go out of order because I didn't give you this, but I'll get into this after. But so when it comes to the four horsemen, right? I know a lot of us have heard about it. Those who read the Bible, those who have read, different types of material, those who are students like you and myself of Dr. York, the Book of Revelations. He has a ton of books with a ton of information in it. But when it comes to this thing that we call the four horsemen, based off of you being, a prolific independent researcher, you know what I mean? Like, what do you see as what most people would interpret as the four horsemen of the apocalypse, but then what is really what's happening right now from a metaphysical standpoint of what we call the four horsemen of the apocalypse?
I will also say, from a metaphysical standpoint dealing with nature, the four horsemen of the apocalypse is really just the four basic elements, which is earth, air, water, and fire collaborated with the fifth element, the quintessence of the universe. The quintessential alchemical element, the fifth element, which is ether. And ether embodies all things, so that's why it's the geometrical shape of the dodecahedron. Now, from a neurological standpoint, the four horsemen is the unification process of the pituitary gland, hypothalamus gland, pineal gland, and the olfactory nerve, where you get the Christ energy from, because the olfactory nerve is a representation of the ether, the etheric combustion. Now, everything that you see taking place as far as like what's taking place with psychological operations and the activation of sleeper cells, this is really just a play on words, because the sleeper cells is activated by way of the enhancement of DNA. So just like you have sleeper cells within the government, the sleeper cells is getting activated within you because they just came out with a publication saying that the same guy who bought 9/11, the building, before it collapsed 6 weeks before. His name is Larry Silverstein, and he's an Ashkenazi Jew. He bought the U.S. Capitol Tower in Los Angeles. And last week, they just said verbatim that Iran is going to be attacking that geographical landmass with drones in L.A. So the Capitol United States Bank Tower in L.A. is really the embodiment of the modern day Tower of Babel, right? Which is connected to the olfactory nerve that is also linked to the hippocampus layer of the brain, which is the memory bank. Now, the United States Bank Capitol Tower in LA is also known as the Library Tower. So that tower in itself can be being used as a catalyst to cut off the consciousness of the planet. So when you're talking about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, you're really talking about DNA enhancement by way of the sleep activation of the sleeper cells. That is the unraveling of DNA. So this is kind of like the same concept of Jesus. So the thing is that a lot of people don't understand that everything that's in the 3-dimensional apparatus is a microcosm of the macrocosm. So when you're talking about, like, hypothetically speaking, when you get into biblical context, it talks about how Jesus died at 33 years old, but in Freemasonry, the apex of Master Mason is at 33 degrees. So when you look at the spinal column in itself is acclimated to those energy signatures. Those so in the Bible, it talks about how Jesus he disappeared after the age of 12 and he came back when he was 30. So that is acclimated to the spinal column because that's where the etheric combustion comes from. So most of the stuff that they telling you in the news, most of the stuff they telling you in the Bible, most of the stuff that they telling you just in movies is really talking about your DNA. Everything that's going on around you is actually happening within your genetic format. So when you hear about sleeper cells activating, your sleeper cells is activating during that process because let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that Iran did attack, the United States Capitol Tower building in Los Angeles. That can basically bring a different consciousness to the planet because according to the guy who found out about the star Regulus constellation being in alignment with the Sphinx, he said that there's going to be a new intelligence on the planet. So that if let's just say, it actually happens, that can be linked to the fact that, humans is just going through a state of metamorphosis, spiritual metamorphosis for DNA enhancement. So I also call that, the Ophiuchus, the activation of the 13 Zodiac wheel. So everything is really talking about DNA enhancement. Yes, there's things taking place in government, in politics, but the words is acclimated to your physiology. You just got to understand the timeline.
Right.
So it's a lot going on, man. It's a lot.
Oh yeah, a whole lot. And one of the things too that I saw, and I didn't get a chance to ask you if you had seen anything about it, if you had any type of research or verification on it, but I did, and I've been seeing and hearing a lot of rumors that Benjamin Netanyahu is been assassinated or has pretty much died. I don't know how true that is and how much authenticity or how credible it is. But did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I heard a lot. There's a lot of AI stories, but when you get into the inception of where those, ideologies come from, a lot of those political leaders and world leaders, they've been offed already. So some of them are actually, deep state actors.
Yeah, because they said that about what's the name, the dude that just came out of office, the Democrat. Can I think of his name? I'm having a brain fart.
Joe Biden.
Biden. They said that about Sleepy Joe. They said he got knocked off in 2019, I think, by execution or by the execution in Guantanamo Bay. Was it that they said they?
At the Gitmo basis.
Yeah.
Watchcolumn, they just supposedly he had passed away. Majoba Khamenei, the new supreme leader for Iran. Yeah, supposedly he either lost his leg or he's because he hasn't showed his face since February 23rd.
Wow, and this is the same one that they just said was the new supreme leader, the one that took the place of his father.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so they saying he's dead, but I think I demonstrated, in my last transmission or last week when we was on, I also talked about how his bloodline is linked to Queen Elizabeth's.
Yeah,
because
that was on
bloodline, Okay, yeah. So that
Yeah,
bloodline
what was the
amalgamate.
title of your show so we can send the people to your the channel to check that out
The
after
title of the
the
show was
I saw that one.
it was the hour before Babylon.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
share the link
yeah.
in the description for that one too.
The hour before Babylon falls. Yeah, Babylon's
Yeah.
judgment.
Yep. Yeah, I
But
saw the
yeah,
presentation.
okay. So, but and that's also in connection with the Stargate in Iran, because Stargate 10, while we in the 10-year, is also on the 10th ley line energy grid system when you study geomancy. So that energy right there is right on the demarcation where you got the Persian Gulf. So there's an intrinsic energy there that produces an amalgamation of oil to the Strait of Hormuz. So that could be, the 10th Stargate could be, the resurrection of the Black Sun, too, if you look at it from a metaphysical standpoint. But a lot of this stuff is really just a play on, words, if you understand their codexes.
Yeah, it's a play on words, it's a play on symbolism, it's a play on the consciousness, it's a play on the mind's eye. Like, it's a play on a lot of different stuff. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. There's a lot of playing going on. You know what I mean? It's like it's playing with people's minds, and even like when we talk about the EMFs and all these different frequencies, like they definitely are doing something in the realm of these frequencies, because I know I've definitely been feeling it, and I know a lot of other people I've been speaking to have just kind of had a lot of different type of I would say energetic battles or energetic attacks, you know what I mean, in regards to like the clarity of the mind and just a lot of different things that only I feel like could be attributed by some sort of sound or frequency type of attacks that I think they're probably launching as well.
That they definitely doing frequency modulation and frequency modification to rewire the neurotransmitters, because when you look at when it comes to artificial intelligence and technology and all the nanotechnology that's inside the genetically modified foods, the parasites is linked to those frequencies, because the only thing that's in between the moon and mankind and the archonic forces is the parasites, because the parasites is being used as a medium to activate through the etheric combustion that's coming from the frequencies of the nanotechnology and that's coming from the energetic electrical grid system. So all that stuff plays a part. So they use the frequencies to activate the parasites in the body, but they use mankind to perpetuate hedonistic activity, bad diets and things of that nature. They put it inside the genetically modified foods, and they put the biometric technology and biochemicalization with the medicines. They put all that stuff in there to feed the parasites. And then that's kind of like an energy exchange, because the parasites in itself over the course of time and attacks the body. So that's kind of like a form of a sacrifice in exchange with the archonic forces. So that's why when you get into Hindu mythology, they talk about how the moon was told into our solar system, because the moon is in fact a artificial celestial megastructure in itself. It's a quantum satellite that produces emotional energy and motion to control people, places, and possessions. So that's what makes up the third dimension in itself. So that's why the parasites is being used to enhance the energy of emotionalism, or over emotionalism and toxicity over the course of time. So that's how that works with that.
And man, what's so powerful about everything you just said, as you were sharing every single detail about that response and that answer, all I could think about was in the movie The Matrix, when the agents had Neo in the back of the car, and they took that bug and they implanted it into, I think it's like his belly button, and then it went into his body, and they showed how it was traveling all throughout his body. Like that. That's a real thing. Like that's literally what you just described is what they did. And it's like, we saw this in the movie The Matrix, but for real, that's literally enough. And for the people who took, the jab, that's a whole nother technology that, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a way of talking down or bashing anybody, because I know a lot of people jobs were on the line and this and that. However, check out Dr. Phil Valentine, because he does have ways to help people and assist with, eradicating and getting that out of your body as well. So with that, that's literally what I feel like a lot of that was about, was to put this technology into as many people that they could in order to have that same kind of simulated control. To me, it's almost like a remote control. Like if you're playing Madden or something, you know what I'm saying? Like they have an ability to control those parasites within the body, which has the ability to then access those frequencies and the EMF attacks and things of that nature?
Yeah. See, the parasites is what controls the holographic projection of your gematria body. And your gematria body is what subjugates your epigenetic body. Your epigenetic body is how you pull information from the memory bank. But the parasites stop you from doing that because I told you, like, the frequencies in itself, they don't want you to connect with God from a neurological standpoint, because that is the four horsemen. That is the pituitary gland, hypothalamus gland, pineal gland, collaborated with the olfactory nerve. That is the activation of God. That's why, you know what I'm saying, they trying to say this is a biblical war or whatever. They said, oh, this is God's judgment. This is divine's judgment of God. But what God are they actually talking about? Because a lot of Christians, they don't understand the diametrical difference between the three titles of God. God in all caps, that's the Most High. God with a capital G, lowercase letters, that is your personification of Yahweh, or Enlil, or Baal, Moloch, the same person, or Yaldabaoth Remfran, or, you know, or Archonic Force. And then when you got God in lowercase letters, that is your embodiment of Psalms 82 verse 6, ye are gods. So that means that we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So they don't want you to become the very thing that's connected to the magnetosphere, which is the mental plane. So that's why everything is based on cutting off your consciousness. Because when you turn in the Higgs boson particle that contains quarks and leptons, that is what creates the neuron fibers together to where you become a whole brain thinker. You cannot be holy until you use your whole damn brain.
Facts.
That's why when you're in Freemasonry, or when you about to graduate college, they always use the tassel. They move it to a different side because you're raising up in degrees. So when you raise up in consciousness, you raise up the degrees on the planet. So this is why they're talking about climate change. So the more you wake up, the more you're going to wake up the four elements that's connected to the geographical landmass that's underneath the motherboard, that is also interconnected to the magnetosphere, like I was saying, because that's why Donald Trump wants Greenland so bad. Everything is really talking about shutting down the consciousness, because the more you wake up, the more the intensity of the ethers start to harmonize with earth, air, water, and fire, that causes earthquakes and sedimentary rock formation and volcanic eruptions. So so that's what that's all about.
Yeah, now that's dope, man, because I just shared the short when we were talking about Simeon Toko last week, and about activating that X-Man, the X gene, you know, to create that supernatural ability, you know, like he had, in order to regenerate himself, in order to, you know, defeat death, and so many other miracles that he was able to work on the planet. And that's why I love that series Supercell so much too. I mean, just the title alone, the way the brother put the play on words, you know, to take sickle cell and transmute it or translate it into supercell, because only allegedly melanated people can contract sickle cell. So it was like very powerful, just the title alone and the play on words. But I feel like what he depicted in that film or in that series was what we're experiencing right now, what some people are already experiencing, but more people will be experiencing, especially when we talk about all the solar flares. And then something you and I have spoken about before as well is all these different neutrinos that are coming to the planet. So how do all of these neutrinos, solar flares, and all of that activate and elevate these four horsemen when you're talking about the glands of the God consciousness, but also the ability to couple that with the power of melanin?
Well, first of all, you got to understand that the melanin is the brain essential nervous system melanin. It's another way to activate that gamma radiation that is inside the olfactory nerve. So it's activated by way of sun heat genes, which is granulations and prominences. Those are the solar panels of your skin. So especially during this time period, especially as we moving forward, you should start fasting a lot more, because ultra fast internal conversion is how you activate the junk DNA, the sleeper cells within your body. So that's why they're saying, like they telling you what time it is without telling you what time it is when it comes to your body. When they talking about sleeper cells, yeah, you got infiltration going on, but they're also talking about the sleeper cells within you. So this is how you activate the junk DNA and things of that nature when you go from lead to gold. Because when you go from lead to gold, that is really the activation of the gold elixir, which is the serpentine spinal fire. So there's a reason why when you look at the periodic table of elements, the nomenclature title for gold is AU, because that is short for your aura. You got the aura of God, right? Once you're able to activate you know what I'm saying, and connect to the silver, not the silver key, but the golden key, which is the moon, not the moon, but the sun. So, like I said, the sun in itself it's an ascension portal. It's an interstellar vortex portal to get to the star Polaris. So the star Polaris harmonizes with the black sun, the black dot, the black chakra, which is Ophiuchus. So that's why it goes all the way back to the number 13, the 13 that represents the serpent.
Yeah.
But it's another thing, you know, in order to activate these genes and to be able to have these capabilities is to listen to neoclassical music. You notice the word neo that's connected to the neocortex. So neoclassical music and just listening to the instrumentation. So when you look at the word instrument, you got the word meant. When you look at the suffix of the word, meant is in there for a reason because it is meant to stimulate your mentality, right? That is the best way to activate the serpent mind. Listen to classical music and let your children, while your children asleep or whatever, play classical music in the background because it's going to stimulate those neuron fibers and it's going to make the brain tighter. And when the brain becomes tight, that's when the crystals, because crystals in itself, when they talk about pressure makes diamonds, that pressure makes the brain tighter. And this is where you activate the hippocampus layer of the brain, the memory gland, which is the conscious memory complex of the brain, to where you can pull information out from your past life, to where, okay, I made this mistake, I ain't got to do this shit again, let me go this way because now I understand the matrix, to where I can break out of my gematria body. Your gematria body is your physical vessel, right? So you have to use your physical vessel. This is why I say that you got to use your emotions as a navigation system, because your emotions is connected to the physical body. So this is basically the steps on how to become God in a physical form, basically. So this is why they say during the time of the 2027, this is the time of the magnum opus, the transmutation where man becomes God, right? And same thing with the Epstein files. When you look at the word Epstein, when you translate it in Hebrew, it goes to Ebostone. And Ebostone is the philosopher's stone, which is the pineal gland. And then when you look at the word file and you break it down in Hebrew, it means a scroll, the scroll of all. So they telling you in real time what the hell is going on. Yes, kids are coming up missing, but yeah, you got the Epstein files, but it's also still talking about you. When you're talking about sleeper cells getting activated, yes, it's talking about a foreign government infiltrating the land, but it's also talking about the sleeper cells within you. Yes, there are the four horsemen, as far as like they talk about in the Bible, but it's talking about neurological functions, and it's also talking about the ethers harmonizing with the four basic elements. So all these things collaborate together if you just people just got to step back and look at it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying I love what you spoke about with the music, because I listen to classical music all the time, and one of my favorite songs, man, is a song called Oasis by an artist named Kataro. I think he's like an Asian dude or something like that, but dope song, man. It just he plays like the horn. I mean, he plays like the synths, the piano, and a couple probably like some string instruments in there too. But every time I listen to that, it's almost like I can travel within and almost see it kind of like percolating my pineal gland, because it's just that powerful of a song to me. And I can listen to it on repeat for like literally days at a time. If I'm working and I got work to do, I'll just have that thing on repeat, because it has me tap into a whole nother, I feel like a whole nother level of consciousness and information. But when you speak about the pineal gland of that magnitude and that level, what is the symbolism to that they got a big old pineapple gland over there, and I forgot the name of that square over there where the Vatican is. I know they got a huge pine. What is the symbolism between that pine cone and how that, like, what are they doing with that pine cone there in regards to the so-called control that they want to have over the masses' pineal gland?
Well, I know that geographical landmass in itself is connected to the necropolis. The necropolis is where they bury the dead, but they unlock those 5 portals. The 5 portals was the unlocking of the silver key and the golden key, the keys of papacy. And then if you look at the symbolism of the keys of papacy, it has the hat of Dagon on it. So the hat of Dagon, it basically put a cover over the pineal gland, which is the pine cone. So this is why I said that we're going back to the star Polaris, which is also known as the Milky Way star constellation that's connected to the magnetosphere, to where it takes you to a different space and time. Now, when you look at this from a form of instrumentation, when you look at your spinal column, when you turn it horizontal, it's basically like a piano.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, when you go from after the 12th key, after 12 intervals, you step into the 13. That's a different space and time. It's a different dimension. So this is why in the Bible, like I said, they say that Jesus, when he disappeared and came back at the age of 12. Why did he didn't come back at 13? Why you stop at 12? Because they know that the number 13 is the etheric combustion on how you resurrect yourself, and then you resurrect yourself again during the age of 30. That is so it's really talking about intervals. If you watch the movie The Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, in order to harmonize and be able to communicate with these entities that's coming from interdimensional portals or whatever, they had to use the key. They had to use the keys. They had to use frequency, the octave vibrations of music. So if you want to connect with God, you got to be tapped into the information, or as far as like octave vibrations and listening to classical music, because there's a reason, like hypothetically speaking, they call it like the organ, because the octave vibrations is what vibrates your organs. When your organs vibrate, that's where crystallization takes place, to where you transmute from 666 to 616, 6 electrons, 1 neutrons, 6 protons. So that they know that the music. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. I was going to add. I love when you broke it down. When you talk about the keys, how once you get to 12, there's no 13. Now, to me, because I ain't saying I'm a master musician or nothing, but I do know enough that when it comes to music, is that, if I'm not mistaken, so when you got to that 12th key, then when you had to go to the next level or go back to 1, did that not take you up or down another octave in regards to the frequency?
Right. Yep.
Gotcha. So that's dope. So so if you're going at it that way, how would we, for people who want to tap into that divine God self, or that that Sahu body, or you want the Merkaba, whatever you want to call these different higher levels of consciousness and the ability to travel through space or interdimensionally, whichever way you want to call it, how would we utilize what we have happening now on the planet to elevate ourselves, to kind of activate, leveling up to the next octave in regards to our energetic or spiritual frequency?
Well, we have to get into the supreme mathematics of geomancy and start doing a lot of grid work. So we have to start studying everything in our atmosphere, like see what powerful alignments, and then actually go there and try to get those upgrades. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the same thing as far as like, if you don't upgrade your motherfucking phone over the course of time, it's going to start getting hot. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to be working right. It's going to be glitching. So in order to harmonize with Mother Nature, we should start doing a lot more grid work. So if there, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that there's going to be some type of metaphysical alignment in Atlanta, and Atlanta's already on the 33rd parallel. So if there's going to be some type of energy there, everybody should, migrate there just to reap the benefits of that energy. And then, just do stuff like that. It can be that simple, I think, when it comes to stuff like that. So I think grid work is how you tap into those energies.
That's what's up. Yeah, shout out to Wunam. I believe she has something going on the 28th of March. It's kind of like it's an event where she's tapping into connecting people with the ancestors and with the cosmos and with consciousness, elevating consciousness and all that too. So I'll definitely be sharing more of that on the channel, family. But yeah, that's powerful. And so one of the things that I've heard you speak about in depth on your channel, I know we might have tapped into it a little bit here on the show a few times, but I'm not sure if we went in depth with it. But when you talk about this thing called the Black Sun, can you kind of break down what exactly the Black Sun is and why that's relevant and important to our experience and what we're experiencing right now in this day and time on the planet?
Well, the Black Sun is I was saying, it's the activation of the 13 Zodiac wheel, Ophiuchus, because Jesus walking on water is the personification of Ophiuchus. But in order to walk on water, to walk on the ethers, in order to crypt walk, Skywalker, you know what I'm saying, Zulu Nation, because when you break down the etymology of the word Zulu, it means Skywalker. So in order to walk on water and walk, amongst the three-dimensional apparatus in itself, emotions as a navigation system, alchemy. So you got to go from lead to gold. That's how you activate the gold elixir in order to activate your aura, your auric field. So, that in itself is what you get into El Qadir, which is the personification of the green light. That is the green Ethereal energy. There's a movie you got to watch called Night Patrol. They demonstrate how the green Ethereal energy is used as a protectorate. Because
Night Patrol?
Yeah, Night Patrol. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
What?
Oh no, go ahead.
But the black sun is also some people try to equate it with Saturn, but the Saturn moon matrix is what basically shuts down the black sun, because the Saturn moon matrix in itself is what creates cryogenic technology, and technology is what is tether connected to the silver core, which is a silver key. That is what I'm talking about, the Pleiadian light lock, according to Job chapter 38, verse 31. So the Pleiadian light, like, this is why they want so much technology. It locks down the DNA. It compromises the neutrinos that's coming to the planet. Like, everybody got some type of technology on them, whether it's your phone, you got a watch on, you know what I'm saying? You around frequencies blocking the transmission. Like the same thing, like hypothetically speaking, like, you ever seen like in a movie, and they trying to break into a bank and they got all those red lines so you don't cross it, or to be that's the same thing. Just imagine, because we can only see about 5% of the electromagnetic spectrum, so you can't see the frequencies. So all these negative frequencies that's in are blocking the transmission. Boom. Like, so let's just say I'm in alignment with some neutrinos right now, and then you got a frequency from a light coming across right here blocking it every time. That's what's taking place. It's frequency warfare. You just can't see it.
Yeah. Well, now I do know that there are supposed to be certain different types of crystals and certain different types of elements. Like, shout out to Dr. Blair with those I forgot the name of them, diodes. He sells a lot of the diodes that helps to block a lot of these energies and frequencies and etc. So are there any specific types of metals, or any specific types of crystals, or different types of things that we can kind of keep around or keep on us to kind of help at least give us some sort of like energy proof vest, you know what I mean, to create some type of wall or some type of blockage to so many different types of frequencies that we're being inundated with?
I would say some motivite, because the motivite is what gives you that intrinsic energy of green. So so that it kind of acts as a protectorate, because that's what ether is. Ether, when you're tapped in to the energetic frequency of the soul or whatever, your mind is what creates this energy of psychic self-defense. Because just like you got crystals that you carry on you, you got crystals in your brain. You got magnetites and dendrites and apatites. And that's what creates the geometric energy fields around the body to where you be protected from outside forces. So that's how that happens. So so that's a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand when you're talking about a person being neurologically compromised, or just compromised from a health standpoint. They have too many holes inside their aura, because they're thinking at a low frequency. The more low frequency thinking that you are, this is where the demons can infiltrate that auric field. Because just imagine, like, that's like the same thing as your motherfucking door being wide open and you got $1 million worth of stuff in your house. Anybody can come in and they just take it from you. So that's what these demons and these archons do. They take from you. They take from your spiritual energy to the point where you're depleted. And now you're being compromised by parasites and shit. And then there goes your death. That is the sacrifice right there in between man and the archons, by using parasites as a medium to shut down your auric field. That's how that works. So you really got to have an imagination to see that, that's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? But your imagination is the most key component, as we get through this great awakening period. Your imagination is.
Now, you mentioned something else earlier, like I said, I know that we spoke about it probably in several interviews ago, and I know you spoke about it in depth on your channel as well. But certain people, we got new audience members, new people to the channel that probably never heard any of this stuff. So when it comes to this thing that you were talking about with the silver key and the gold key, and how those all tie into a lot of the stuff that's taking place now, which these things took place like a year or two ago when the silver key came about, and then the gold key when the Pope activated it. Like, how does all that tie into what we're experiencing now when you talk about that silver key and the gold key and the Pope and what we're seeing transpire now?
See, because when you unlock the galactic center, that's the home of the black sun. The galactic center is how you get right back to the Ethereal cosmic mother. Because like I said, the hat of Dagon, just the symbolism aspect of it, it basically puts an encryption over your neurological functions, because God is the mind. I keep telling people that God is the highest extension of the mind, which uses elements and matter to express yourself. So if you can express yourself because you have a cap consciousness, putting neural link and all this other shit in your head, what's going to happen? You're going to be transmuting to the energy of an NPC, because now you don't have no authenticity. Your authenticity is what makes you a god, right? Your authentic energy. Just look at the word authenticity. Look at the prefix of the word, AU. So that means that your aura is your authenticity, meaning that you got the aura of God, the gold elixir, AU, nomenclature title for gold. Same thing. So that's how you become God and to defeat the matrix. But, you got to use the silver key, as a navigation system to activate the golden key, because the golden key represents the sun. And the sun in itself is an interstellar vortex portal for ascension to get back to the star Polaris. But the silver key, which is the moon, is a representation of reincarnation.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the Ophiuchus and the black sun, does that tie into, like, when you go to like ancient Kemet and you look at what is it, Dandria, the kind of like the solar constellation that they have, on the wall up in that temple? It was a Dandria, I think it's Dandria, Dandera, Dandera, either Dandera or Dandria. But anyway, ancient Kemet, they have like a astrological calendar, like, of the constellation up in the sky, or up in the the top of this temple. And you look from looking up, you can see that they have it looking down on us, but it has the constellation in it. And it sounds like it's like that 13th wheel that you were talking about in regards to the black sun and Ophiuchus. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm not so much, but it makes a lot of sense, because I know that when you're talking about these neutrinos and Holy Ghost particles, they talk about this in ancient Kemetic spirituality, and then when you get into the esoterics of Freemasonry, these neutrinos, and when they come in, they spit off at 90-degree angles, right? So, and then when you get into ancient Kemetic spirituality, Pharaoh Seti, he built the temple of Seti for Osiris. It was in dedication. But when you look at the geometrical structure of it, it looks just like an L. And an L is the personification of an L, which is an Elohim. So an L in itself is a 90-degree angle. That is a resurrection point. But that's what 9 degrees represents. It represents the activation of the human becoming God in consciousness by harmonizing, with those neutrinos that's coming in. So, the resurrection points in itself, as far as like, they talk about these things, the activation of the, because when Osiris, he was chopped up into 13 pieces, right?
I want to say it was 13 or 14. I believe it was
13, and they put and then they add the 14th piece.
Yeah, I think it was 13. I just said it that way. It might have been. It was one of them for sure. Absolutely.
So there goes your personification of resurrection. So so especially during this time period, like, I did some research on the Capitol building, the Tower building in Los Angeles. It's got 54 elevators. But when you look at 4 + 5 is 9, and then you got L again, God. And they keep telling you that this war is a divine judgment from God. You know what I'm saying? So it's telling you in so many words what time it is on a planet biblically, and it's telling you what time it is from a metaphysical standpoint, if you can see, what's going on. So El, Elohim, or when you get into the L's Holy and Jill, they talk about Theos or Thanos, same entity.
Yeah, and then shout out to Kiki Blunt, said AI is all seeing. I'm not sure which AI she's talking to, but if you're talking about ancestral intelligence, I agree with you. As far as theirs, I don't know about them, but I got a great comment that I want to share too. Shout out to Coco K the boss. She said, I think they had to move the AI, or he, I'm not sure if it's male or female, but they said, I think they had to move the AI because we are upgrading and moving away from the system and becoming less controllable. So I'm assuming that they're talking about like the archonic forces, like those who so-called have control over most of humanity now. They want to go into the AI, space, the virtual reality, because pretty much, they know a lot of us are upgrading in our consciousness and our frequency, and they won't have the same level or the opportunity to control the masses the way they did previously. That's what I'm assuming. What do you think about that?
Well, you watched the movie Space Jam, the one with LeBron James in it? In order to, he remember in the movie he wears the number 23. Because the number 23, when you get into the equation for pi, which is 3.14, 3 represents the 3 represents the mind, which is manifestation, and the 1 represents the prana, which is the life force, to activate the 4 horsemen, neurological functions. So when you look at the pi equation 3.14, it creates the this element in this geometrical shape called the sacred 23 of the polymystic, which is the asastragon. So the number 23 is the only thing that can pierce the veil and manipulate the matrix. That's why in the movie, LeBron James, when he wore number 23, he was able to defeat the algorithm. The guy's name was the algorithm. He was able to defeat the G, the capital G, which is Baal, which is an archonic force. So the number 23 is the only number that can pierce the veil.
Wow. I never knew that. You learn something new every day, they say. Shout out to Lit or L.LIT Living Truth. Prophet 8308 said that that was a good question about the Vatican. But why is the Hall of Paul shaped like a snake head?
Oh, because that's where they stagnate the consciousness at. The snake is really talking about the consciousness. When remember everybody was talking about Leviathan, the beast or whatever.
That dragon that was supposed to be in the ocean somewhere. I forgot what part of the world.
Yeah, it's actually talking about you, Leviathan. You know what I'm saying? But all of it is really just symbolism too. So they use a lot of dark draconian magic, and they invert the symbolism and they flip it.
Yep.
So they use our symbols and then they put it on sacred land to block the energy.
Yeah, or like the swastika that that they used, that was ours, that is ours. It's a lot of different ones. So what you're saying with the Leviathan, you're talking about pretty much like the spinal cord, going up, through the spine, like we were speaking about earlier, and the vertebrae and all that, activating the Kundalini force, right?
Because remember, they said you become the beast, but what is the personification of the beast in the Bible? 666. That is 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons.
Right. That's what you want.
That's the activation of non-ether.
Right. Facts. Yeah. Wow. So when you talk about the gold key, what is the symbolism to that one? Is that based off of like when we were talking about earlier, like the alchemy of turning the elixir, in the base substance into gold?
Yeah. As I was saying, like using your emotions as a navigation system, like hypothetically speaking, you go through a bad breakup. The man was beating on you. He was, throwing you out the house, cheating on you. But, you know what I'm saying? But there's 2 different energies that you can take up on during that process. You can use the positive timeline or you can use the negative timeline. So the gold and the silver key is a personification of the sun and the moon. So you can step into the energy of ascension or descension. So that means that, like, if you didn't, come to understanding that I shouldn't be dealing with these types of guys, you're going to be dating the same different man in a different body every time.
Yes.
You're going to be going through abuse and abuse and abuse. That sounds like reincarnation. But when you evolve yourself, that's when you activate the golden key. You ascend past the nigga that was beating on your ass. You get what I'm saying? So that's when it comes to that, it's really talking about 2 different diametrical energies of ascension or descension. It depends on what key you're going to use. So that's why I said you use your emotions as a navigation system to unlock the golden key, and that golden key is what connects you right back to God.
Which
is your higher self.
Right. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, I was asking earlier, and I'm pretty sure, excuse me, that somebody in the chat has seen this story as well. I forgot to pull it up to get the article, the dude's name. But for those in the chat, family, if y'all could share with me, I'm sure somebody saw that there was a high-ranking, I want to say Air Force military official who I guess was just recently found missing based upon, I guess, right after your boy DT said that he was going to release the files on the extraterrestrial, agenda or what have you. So, and then this top ranking official was a very high ranking official. I want to say military. I think he might've been a general, very high ranking. And he had access to a lot of top secret, clearances and to a lot of the space programs and all these different type of dark projects that they have, that they keep control of the extraterrestrial phenomenon, right? So all of a sudden he just turns up missing. So family, if y'all got the name of that military official, if y'all can share that for me, I appreciate it, because I don't feel like that's a coincidence. You know what I mean? That happened. So now my question to you, being somebody who is able to see through a lot of conspiracies, and based upon the research that you do, what would be the reason for them making this guy turn up missing, being that Trump already said he was going to open up the files to the extraterrestrial, phenomenon? So why would this guy all of a sudden end up missing?
Maybe he has some different intel, because maybe, some people have information, like some people try to commercialize, the ideology of extraterrestrials or whatever. Some of them, maybe he has some information, like maybe these entities, people need to let them know that these are Black individuals that's coming from, different spaces in time. There was a guy, he had now mermaids, they talk about sirens in the Bible when you go to the book of Enoch. So I don't want to hear nobody talking about mermaids ain't real. Yes, they are.
Right.
Whatever. But there's a guy, he said he came in contact with mermaids, and he said that they were about 9 feet tall.
Was the dolphin? He said dolphins like kidnapped them, and then he had the mermaids or the sea people wanted him to build some type of structures or something for him.
No, that's a fake story. I looked into that. That's not a real story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just heard about that one. So you're talking about a different one. Okay.
Yep. No, I'm talking about, this is an old video. A guy, he had like 2 structures, and he said that he created, like, he used a guy to make up like some type of statue structure, and he said this is how big their heads was. And then they were like, said these women were like 9 feet tall, dark skinned, black skinned, kind of like the same black as the guy Norman Burgum when he said he's seen 12 to 13 foot aliens walking on planet Saturn. So
Wow.
but that's another thing though. A lot of these celestial bodies, these are really just other geographical locations on the ground that's outside the firmament.
That the Bourbon guy you just spoke of, is that the one who had the very strong gift of being able to remote view?
No, I don't think that was him. He just Norman Burgum, he wrote the book Rainmakers of Saturn, and he also he worked for NASA.
Okay.
So those are Saturnians, and Saturnians could be your embodiment of the seraphim in the Bible, the 200 that fell. So what? Because why are you on planet Saturn?
Right.
And you know what that energy in itself, reverberates. It reverberates a negative frequency. It's a gas planet, and a gas. That's why they put a ring around it, because it's being used to barricade the lost souls and the spirits that is entrapped on top of the hexahedron. You notice you see the word hexahedron because it's another way to put a hex. Put a hex over your soul and your spirit to where you're in a perpetual state of reincarnation. And that's where the moon siphons the energy to put you on the dark side of the moon, which is connected to their supercomputer that controls the gematria system. So that's why everything is a number. It's a binary code. It's binary code systems.
Right. So when it comes to the moon, right, and I don't know if I asked you this question before, but I know if it wasn't you, it might have been Ryan or somebody else. But when it comes to the moon, right, I know there's different publications, different books out there that says that the moon is fake. It's not real. It's a artificial satellite, right? And that the Draconians, some of the texts that I read said that the Draconians are the ones who towed the moon over into the star system, into our constellation. When it comes to that, with your thought process or your mindset, what do you feel about the moon? I do believe you said it's an artificial satellite as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Do you feel like the Draconians drugged that or towed that satellite over into our solar system?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I talk about Draconians, I really call them the Archons.
Okay. So the same being.
Like because you got many different forms. Like you just like a Pokemon has different forms. These entities have different forms. So they're etheric form because they have ether as well, but it's a negative aspect of it. So when they able to cloak themselves, when you see like shadowy figures and stuff like that, those are Draconians, and Draconians are Archons. So when they enter the 3rd dimension, they can take up on a human vessel, or they can look like their actual physical self. So in the 3rd dimension, they may come as a human, but when you get into the 4th dimension, you can see a Draconian reptilian as a draconian reptilian. But when you get into the 5th dimension and higher dimensions outside of the 4th dimension or whatever, you would be able to see like shadowy figures. That's why when people have sleep paralysis or whatever, when a lot of time they show it like it's like a symbolism for a gargoyle. If you look up like some of the art for like sleep paralysis, but a lot of times when you have sleep paralysis, you seeing shadowy figures. Those are either draconian reptilian or they grays. And grays are just futuristic humans because grays, they're not able to reproduce. They're not able to reproduce because they don't have no type of productive organs or whatever. So a lot of them are really just put together. The grays.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't they like bots? Kind of like almost like a what was that game? I forgot the name of the game. It was a game we used to have to put the person together, and you take different pieces and put them together. Was it Doctor?
They're like
and you had to try. You try not to hit the metal because it'll do like that.
Yeah, they're like the Frankenstein of extraterrestrials.
Gotcha.
Because they was put you can make a gray.
Yeah.
You can make a gray.
They're like remote control beings, if I'm not mistaken, right?
And matter of fact, the best way you can see it, if you just kind of look at the evolutionary stages of that movie that Will Smith played in, it was the end of the world. No, not Independence Day. He was going against the zombies. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, did he have a dog?
Yep, he had a dog.
What the hell was the name of that movie? Because Denzel had a movie similar to that. I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of the name of it. But
I Am Legend. It's called I Am Legend.
Okay,
but in that movie,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The zombies, they was going through an evolutionary stage because over the course of time, they was losing all the hair off their body. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I think it was a time where he created some type of elixir to where when he gave them the elixir, they started to grow their facial features back and they was getting their illumination, animation, hair growing on their face and everything back again. But I think, when it comes to the draconian juice that they gave out during the time of 2021 and 2020, and when they shut down the world with that fake, such and such, I think they was using that as a catalyst to create these futuristic grays.
Wow. Yep. Now, how would them giving the juice to that many people help them to create the grays? Like, how would they do that?
Remember, he said it. According to God of the Bible, he's a jealous God. He want to make God in His image. He want to make him in His image from a low frequency standpoint. So like the grays are just really foot soldiers for the archons.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense because they said in some of them reports that that Epstein wanted to have pretty much all the human beings in the world to have his DNA within them. So that to me would I sound like the motherfucker was trying to play God. Is what it sounded like to me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's some real egotistical, maniacal. That's some ratchet ish.
Man, that crazy. Man, these people crazy.
Yeah, they are. They eat each other. They drink each other's blood. Yeah, they real crazy. For real. Like insane.
Matter of fact, I think there's a country like he said that there was a lot of Ashkenazis. They had entered an African country, and he said that they've been eating the little girls. Yep. It's been a viral clip going on about a guy said something about that.
Shout out to Darius McNair, man. I appreciate you, family. Temple of Dandara. That's the one I was talking about earlier. I appreciate you sharing that, family. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I'm not surprised though. And do you know what part of Africa that was? That they said that was happening?
I think it was Lagos.
Wow, so it was in Nigeria.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere in Nigeria, I believe. I'm not sure.
Well, they better be careful, boy, because it's some energy over there, boy, for real. So, that's not. I don't know if that's the right. You shouldn't be doing that anywhere, but I don't think that's a good place to do it at. Mess around and run into some of the wrong Nigerians. That's gonna be a wrap real quick, for real. But so now, when you talk about, you said that you had got some intel about the building in Cali. I saw some people saying in the chat earlier. I got to see if I can find the comments. I thought I had started, but they were saying, okay, here go one right here. Shout out to Spinning My Opinion. He said, I wonder if Iran will hit the U.S. with a cyber attack during this war. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because according to the World Economic Forum and also according to the Bilderberg Group, they came out with a documentation talking about how the energy grid can be compromised by Iran. And then, you know, like I said, this is all connected to biblical context. It's a script, part of the scripture, Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, Gog and Magog. That is the unification of the collaboration of Iran, China, and Russia, who also can, you know, be a threat to the grid system. They just came out with the Economist magazine, where they showed you on the Economist magazine, it shows you the decline of the American dollar. So that's also in alignment with the drone strike that can take place in LA coming from Iran, because they're gonna, if they do, they're gonna attack the United States Capitol Tower, and that building in itself is what controls the great majority of the banking system on the West Coast, just like the World Trade Center did over on the East Coast. And that's the, and matter of fact, that is the biggest building in LA, is the United States Capitol Bank Tower. And then it also showed you in the movie San Andreas, the movie Day After Tomorrow, they show you that building being destroyed. Specifically in San Andreas, because there's a scene in the movie where a helicopter lands on top of it, and then after that it explodes.
Got you. And I was going to ask you what
be
the
significance.
Go ahead.
So that could be in alignment with an economic change, economic turbulence, because that's going to raise up the gas prices, and it's going to give off the perception like, oh, now the same thing that happened, you know, with 9/11, now we got to go to the Iraq. This can be the same thing. Now we got a reason to go to invade Iran if they do some type of psychological operation.
Got you. And I was going to ask what was the significance of them bombing that tower, but pretty much that's to help to try to collapse or, you know, cripple the American dollar and the financial system, right?
Yeah, that too. And it's a, like I said, it's they call it the library tower. That building is just not just a regular building. So that building could be used as a catalyst to stagnate the transmission of human consciousness. Because a lot of these buildings, they're built on certain energy ley line points. Just like you got, just like when you understand like the Freemasons of antiquity, when they was building up civilizations, they was laying bricks. They pretty much create the whole blueprint of certain cities. So they put a lot of these churches, certain McDonald's, certain hospitals, they put them on certain ley lines to basically bring energy to that organization, or bring energy to that geographical location. So it's another way to siphon energy. So so I'm pretty sure there's some McDonald's that they build up, you know, on certain ley line points just to make people go to that location.
Oh yeah.
So it's really energy warfare. It's energy warfare.
Yeah, they do that with churches, of course, like you said, the Vatican, and then even like, let's just talk about the White House. Like, I'm pretty sure like that's built on some sort of ley lines or something, right?
Yep. Matter of fact, the obelisk in the Capitol,
that's exactly what I want.
That's in alignment with the Pleiadian star constellation. So that is basically another way for the deep state shadow government in order to connect with Ashtar Command, who does the bidding of the Draconian reptilians. And matter of fact, Donald Trump's parents, his parents were a part of Ashtar Command. If you look at Donald Trump's his face, his daddy's face, it looked like you could take his whole face off.
Yeah,
he got like deep holes, like he got a mask on.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? His mom, she looked. Yeah, his mama looked like she like a Grand Theft Auto character. Yeah, she looked like something out of Dick Tracy. You remember that movie?
yeah, they're not handsome, attractive people. I can tell you that. And yeah, I'm talking about the mama. I don't care. She looked like a gargoyle. Yeah, she's like a gargoyle.
We're gonna talk about their mama because
absolutely. She's like a goddamn
so
gargoyle.
Many mamas in America, so with their psychological operations.
Yeah, the hell with them devils. But yeah, and so let me ask you this, because that's new to me about him being a child of or his parents being from the Ashtar Command. So is there any correlation between since he's connected to the Ashtar Command, because I'm sure you know the story of Val Thor, right? Valiant Thor, the Venusian extraterrestrial who was in the White House for a certain amount of time. I got pictures of that. I know you do too, based off of where I learned it from. But when it comes to that visitation, right? Because is there any connection between the Ashtar Command and Valiant Thor? Because from my understanding, he was supposed to be trying to bid for, I guess, positive, communication and interaction with the
because he was in connection with John F. Kennedy. He's the reason why John F. Kennedy got clapped up.
Gotcha. See, I didn't know that. Wow. So the time he was in the White House was when Kennedy was in the White House?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was another president in the White House.
I think he was. I'm not sure.
Okay, I can look it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, because the obelisk that they have in the and up there, and I forgot the name of what they call that in DC or whatever, not the White House, but wherever it's located. But was it not that whole layout and that whole area not like architecturally oversaw or overseen by was it Benjamin Banneker, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
Okay. And he's the one that made Big Ben too, right? The clock over there in England.
Yep.
Okay. So what would be like, how do you feel like they got him to do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did they strong arm him into doing that? Or like, how do you, because based off of, I'm thinking with him having that kind of intelligence and that type of cachet, he had to know that they weren't building this White House and these obelisks and all this, beautiful monumental structures for good, right? So what do you feel like they had over him for him to build that structure for them?
It's kind of like the same thing. I forgot the TV show when the guy he joined the Freemasonic group. It was a black guy. It's a TV show that they discontinued or whatever, but they was using him to harness his knowledge. And there's another thing, the movie in The Man Who Fell to Earth, that movie also, that TV show, on how he was here to bring a certain consciousness to the planet, but you still had outside forces trying to hijack his ideologies and invert the information.
Gotcha.
So they kind of show you that in real time, like what they do how they demonstrate it.
Yeah. So pretty much like they did the Nikola Tesla as well.
Yeah.
And then are you familiar with the guy? I want to say you probably are. I want to say his name was, I know his last name was Leedskin. I think it was like Edward Leedskin. And he was actually down in here in Florida. And he built like a whole damn, he built a temple, not in a temple, but he built a stone, I won't even call it a house, like a stone, what can I call it? It was a stone site that was, to me, it was more, I felt like it was even just on the level of Stonehenge. Like, and he did it by himself. No, seriously, wow. Like he did it by himself. If you get a chance, check out Edward Leedskin, man. Like he built a whole damn site where he had stones balancing on themselves. It's like something you'll see in a movie. Like for real. But he had tapped into some of that, Tesla energy where he was able to manipulate, magnetism and to, move things like the pyramid builders. So it's dope. You gotta check it out, man. He did it all by himself. Little skinny white dude. His name was Edward Leedskin. But he built like a site here in Florida that he moved all these different stones and built them up, bro. You gotta see it. It's impressive, like for real.
I'm gonna check it out.
But Edward.
You can send me a link. Send me a link to that. I want to check that out.
Yeah, it's in Doc's books. I learned about it from Doc. I can't remember which book, but I'll find it though, and I'll get it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, very powerful. If anybody in the chat got any links that they can share in the chat, I definitely appreciate that too. But yeah, it's deep, man. And so we got a lot going on. So in regards to where we are now and this whole thing with this war, there's a lot that's taking place. They're not reporting the news. They're only saying 6 Americans have lost their lives. Unfortunately, we know that there's a whole lot more than that. Nothing is being told in an accurate way because, like you said, they got these archives of these oligarchs, whatever you want to call them, these wealthy, uber wealthy billionaires buying all of the media channels and the media stations for that, to control the narrative of what's being put out there with the information. So with them doing that, and they have the way and capabilities of kind of restricting what we have access to when we're doing our research and things of that nature, how do you feel like this is actually going? How many lives do you feel like has actually been lost, and why are they not speaking about the Stargate that they were trying to get to over in the area of Iran?
Because they don't want us to know that it's a spiritual war. That's what it really is. It's a spiritual war. Because remember, I said, I reiterated earlier that they said that this war is God's divine plan. So this is a sacrifice. So that's a reason why, you know, a lot of the United States militarized group members, a lot of them, they're basically saying like, hey, there's been a lot of them saying like, we ain't going to war. They've been trying to retreat. They came. It was a publication that came out that demonstrated, you know, that also. So a lot of them are not wanting to go because they come into a realization that, you know, this war was just like started, you know, for no reason.
Yeah.
So they come into that realization in real time.
Wow.
So
Shout out to.
but I feel, but it's being used as a mechanism for sacrifice for sure.
Wow. Yep. Shout out to the brother Troy TBS, and I saw Darius McNair, I believe they put it. So the dude's name was U.S. General William McCaslin. He was the one that was recently kidnapped or taken, and he had the very high, top secret clearances and worked on some of the most prolific extraterrestrial, I would say, tasks, you know, or jobs or projects, you know, in the military. And so all of a sudden now they say that they're going to release the extraterrestrial files, and then now all of a sudden he turns up missing.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. General William Neil Caslin.
And I want to say they took him. I want to say it was Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, or Mississippi, or somewhere in the South where they snatched him up from. I think I want to say it was Alabama, but I meant to get that pulled up too before we jumped on. But yeah, we definitely can tap in on the next one about, you know, how that ties in, because I got some things I'm working on too to put together some presentations about extraterrestrials, but not from a perspective that most probably have seen. Because when we talk about extraterrestrials, for those who are students of Dr. Delbert Blair, you know, Dr. Blair was a contactee, right? So he actually had direct interfacing communication with extraterrestrials. So, and he shared that, you know, on his some of his lectures. But I've been studying his work for a while now, and so there's a lot of different type of extraterrestrials that are out there, and there's several that are on this planet, that have been on this planet and in this planet for a long time. There's 3 different levels of them. So it's like I'm gonna do a whole presentation on that, you know, and share it in the future too. And hopefully I can get it done before we chop it up on the next war report. But when it comes to extraterrestrials and the involvement, because we know that there's nefarious dark force, you know, extraterrestrials, and we also know that there's positive, you know, saying extraterrestrials that are here for the sake of assisting humanity and assisting, you know, the planet not getting blown up. When it comes to all of these things called extraterrestrials, why are they so apprehensive on sharing the truth about the different types of extraterrestrials and what they're here for and why they're here for and what they're doing?
The reason why it is because they don't want you to interface with these entities. It's kind of like, you know, because a lot of these entities, they come in a form of help. They come in a form to raise up the vibration of the planet. So this is why, you know, the 3-dimensional apparatus, they work so hard to keep you at a negative state, so you're not able to interface with these entities or whatever. Some of us is able to do it in a sleep realm or whatever, but you know, a lot of, you know, our, you know, abilities to connect with these individuals and these entities, you know, has been spiritually cut off, because your mind in itself is the antenna. So if you're, like I said, God is the mind. So if your neurological network is, you know, mentally compromised to the point where you're not able to communicate, a lot of times that's going to stagnate your connection. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to, you know, harmonize with those entities. But they, you know, a lot of people don't think they're real. There's a I forgot what the book is called, but you can look up the Green Children of Woolpit. They talk about the green children coming from the caverns of the earth, because you don't just have extraterrestrials that's coming from outside the firmament, right?
Oh yeah.
You also got some that's coming from the caverns of the earth. When you're talking about the city of Shambhala, Agartha,
Shambhala,
Rainbow City. But the Green Children of Woolpit, I think it was someplace in Scotland, and they came out of a cave. And then you got Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. They say if you travel for like 90 days in that cave, but they plastered a whole bunch of fake rocks to basically block out certain cavern systems. But if you travel about 90 days, you can get the Hollow Earth, so they say.
Wow.
And that's
and how do you spell that? You said the Green Children of, how do you spell Wilburn?
Woolpit.
Woolpit.
WOOLPIT, Green Children of Woolpit.
Okay, I want to
Yeah,
make
they
sure I
got
look
like
that
a whole
up.
city. They got like a little area in the city that's dedicated to those children. And they try to
Wow.
when they came up to the surface of the planet, they try to eat regular food and they died.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm not
they was
surprised.
like on a vegetation diet. And
Mm.
there's
Yeah, because
another guy who came in contact with the detrimental robotoids, the Deros. He said that they gave him a pill that was made of polymer. So when you eat it, it coats the physical vessel with plastic. It's like a plastic auric field because they said it's so hot inside Hollow Earth. Everything is just pure intrinsic energy there. Yep.
wow. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, because what's his name? Damn it, Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd, the pilot, he flew
Yep.
into what was it? The South Pole or the North Pole? He flew into and got into the inner Earth.
I think it was the
I think
North
it was
Pole.
North Pole. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Admiral Byrd. He spoke about that. But yeah, it's a real thing, man. It's definitely a real thing in regards to the inner Earth. These different types of beings, and that's the thing too. Even if you go into the woods, like if you go deep into the woods, you can mess around and go into some portals because that's where you'll find like your Sasquatches and your Bigfoots, and a lot of those different
Yep.
types of beings live out there because they have the ability to open up and close
In fact,
portals as well.
look what I got. Yeah.
Listen. Shout out to Bobby Kepper Patah, man. I'm gonna have to highlight him and get him back on here because I was on a call that he did, an interview that he had. If I think Wunab interviewed him, and like, man, bro went in for about an hour and a half. I'm talking about it was crazy because he's out there in the West Coast, and I didn't know that. And I think Washington, I think certain parts of California, but I know Washington. There's a huge, a lot of activity with Bigfoots and Sasquatches out there in Washington. And I forgot the name of the one in particular park, but there's a park out there as well that is a lot, it's well known that they're out there. And they're very, very powerful beings, man. Like them Bigfoots and Sasquatch, like that's why you see them in movies like Star Wars and what was the other one when they were called what's the other movie that they was in? Was it Walkies or Wokies?
The Ewoks.
Ewoks, yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why, and then the movie or the show, what was it, Harry and the Hendersons, and there's a lot of reasons why everything that we see, there's truth to it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to share the whole truth, but there's a lot of truth to pretty much everything that we see.
See, the Ewoks, they were the personification of the Duwanis, right? And the goddess Bess, that he was basically a branch of those entities because he was the gatekeeper of Egypt on the outside realms or whatever. And then when you look at on the Ewoks, and when you watch the movie, when you look at the garments, they had indigenous clothing on. They had feathers in their head and all that. So they were showing you how the Ewoks and during that time period, they was going to war with the Nephilim. It was going to war with a giant. So they show you, but they put it in the form of entertainment and things of that nature. And I tell people all the time, people like, well, giants was real. Like if you see a motherfucking giant, that's pretty much extraterrestrial because what else is out there if you could see a 15-foot person? You know what I'm saying? So because it, like hypothetically speaking, in the book of Enoch, they talk about the size of the Nephilim, which is 9 cubits. And 1 cubit of a man is 18 inches. You take 18 times 9, 162 inches divided by 12, that's 13.5 feet. So aliens are real, giants are real.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So they tell you about but see, that's why like the pastors, they don't teach you to understand mathematics. They just go to seminary school and give you watered down information.
Yeah, because it's to keep you under control. It's to keep you in that pool, in that church, in that house, and coming every Sunday to pay your tithes, and and to just stay there in that revolving circle, in that Groundhog's Day or the little hamster wheel. You know what I mean? Like there's no real significant elevation in regards to growth, and expansion and elevating the consciousness. Like I don't really see it, and the people who do, they move away from it. You know what I'm saying? Like they move away. I can't tell you how many different people that I've crossed paths with who grew up, Christian or grew up in certain types of religions, but then they just kind of was like, I had to get away. It's not doing anything for me. Like I need something that, is really feeding me, what's nourishing me, where I'm feeling some sort of tangible results, you know what I'm saying? Like progress that I can document. And so, and that's not happening.
As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know that the church and the state is not separate. So especially during the time of the year 2027, which is the year of the lamb and the goat, that creates the great separation. So in the year 2027, what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of churches, they're going to crumble because they're not going to be able to get the licensing from the state. So in order to have a church during the year of 2027, you got to get licensing from the state. If you don't get the licensing, they're going to shut down your church. So when you get so that's kind of like another way to conform to a New World Order religion.
Wow.
Yep. So a lot of churches are going to be shutting down. Why?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of everything gonna be shutting down, unfortunately. But so when we're talking about with them, and I know we got to run on time. How much longer we got? I know we're getting closer to the time. How much
15 minutes.
About 15. Okay. So when it comes to the this whole thing with the currency, right? Because a lot of this stuff too, especially when you talk about the war in Iran and all these other different things, we didn't get a chance to tap into the Strait of Hormuz yet, but I want to kind of go into that a little bit because a lot of that plays along with the whole financial aspects of what this war is really about. They couldn't give the people a real reason because I don't feel like the real reason, which we know it's about, is always about money. Follow the money, you find, the reasons. But how does this war tie into what I feel like is going to become, because the system unfortunately is going to crash. It's not a matter of when, it's if, it's a matter of when. So we know that based off of them blocking the Strait of Hormuz, the oil prices are going sky high. And from what I've seen recently, some of the research I've done is that really this was all scheduled to happen anyways, because all the other countries, especially those who are aligned with the BRICS and a lot of other countries, they're tired of the Americans or America having the power and influence and dominance over the global financial, picture. So do you feel like the war is really about these other countries coming together to pretty much like a Royal Rumble against the U.S. to rip away their power and take away from them the power of the so-called almighty dollar? So now they can implement this new world currency to where it's a balanced and level playing field where the Americans and the U.S., they don't have the dominance that they've had over the last 50 to 100 years.
Yes, because history operates on a secular historical pattern. So if you understand the pattern, you know what's about to happen. Because remember, when the stock market crashed in 1929, then that's when in 1934, that's when they created Social Security. And that's where they transmuted humans into humanoid real estate. So now when you crash the system, there's going to be another system in place. So that is the digital ID biometric technology system. That that is really what's that's going to be the next timeline. They're going to have like XRP, like some type of crypto amalgamating with your physiology. And then after that, when that system crash, you're going to be fighting for time. You're going to be working for time. They got a movie about that. You're no longer going to be working for money. You're going to be working for time. Because
I saw it.
The most intrinsic, thing, the most intrinsic thing to humans on the planet is actually time, because you're bounded by time.
Yep. That's crazy, because I saw that movie. If we're talking about the same one, it was Netflix. I saw it like about maybe last year sometime, no more than about a year and a half. But it was like a couple, and they had to like literally like mortgage their house and all kind of stuff to buy time. So the same way now, everybody wakes up to go to work every day to pay, to get money to pay bills. They flipped the script. It was like you can have all the property and any gadgets and cars, whatever the hell you want to, but now you got to pay for your time. And so it's like they were literally, trying to figure out different ways to pretty much pawn a lot of their belongings and the things that they had in order to acquire more time. And if you run out of time, then you're gone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's nuts the way these devils play these games. But man, it's a real thing though.
But yeah, I think that'll be the end goal after you have the fall of this next system, because this system is not going to last for a long time.
Now you're talking about the digital system that they're trying to usher in after the dollar?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last too long, because I mean, it's just common sense, because it's kind of like you can't put wine into old bottles, so you can't bring a demonstrative technocratic government into the sun cycle. So the sun is going to destroy it.
Yeah.
The sun is going to overpower electrical transmission.
Yeah. You can't fight nature. Like my boy said in Law Abiding Citizen, you can't fight fate and you can't fight nature. So yeah, no, that's a real thing. So you mentioned earlier in regards to like the sleeper cells, and we went into it, but we didn't go all the way in. So before we get out of here, I'll try to get into that and maybe see if we got a couple minutes for a question or two. But when it comes to the sleeper cells, you mentioned something about sleeper cells being inside of the government. That's something that I haven't heard before. So when you talk about that, you're talking about sleeper cells who are from like some of the enemies that may be inside that could be awakened as a sleeper cell? Or are you talking about those who may have been able to be infiltrated or enlisted on positive pretenses, at least for the sake of the 99% or for humanity? Like which sleeper cell are you speaking in regards to when it comes to this thing we call the government?
Well, they're all collaborated because remember, the Democrats, they opened up the borders, and then you had the Democrats who also gave Barack Obama $1.5 billion.
To
The
give to
Democrats,
Iran?
they gave that to it. Yeah, Iran, they gave $1.5 billion to Iran. So a lot of the sleeper cell activation is coming from the infiltration that's coming from the deep state shadow government. Because the deep state in itself, I told you, it's a monarchy system, it's a bloodline. It's really the collaboration of Queen Elizabeth's bloodline. All the world leaders are related, all of them. So they showing you in real time, like, hey, this it's a plan. This is really a plan because after the Babylonian exile, Cyrus the Great, who was the Persian king, he basically amalgamated the Persians of antiquity, and then he amalgamated the Ashkenazi Jews of antiquity. So the Jews, some of the Jews that you see during that time period, are connected to the bloodlines of those that's living today.
Mm.
So the deep state, that's what makes up the deep state.
Gotcha. Shout out to Baby Yoda 7521 Coral Castle. That's it. If you get a chance, look it up. That's what Edward Lee Skin built. Yeah, they now they're going in. I appreciate y'all sharing that, tribe. They said that there's also The Man from Another Planet, 1984. That's the movie you be talking about, 1984, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they came through for me as they always do. Yeah, Coral Castle, Stone Garden. Yeah, man, check that out when you get a chance. Little skinny white dude, bro, built this whole stone castle by himself. It's nuts. You gotta check it out. But I first saw it in some of Doc's work. I just can't remember which book it was. It might have been who did Extraterrestrials Build the Pyramids, or I had to look in my little library and see. But it definitely, I learned it first from Doc, and then I did my own research on it. But yeah, it's a real thing. He built the stone castle. I forgot what part of Florida it was in. I want to say like Naples area or somewhere like that, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's real, man. And he did it all by himself.
And he built it with frequencies.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows, but I feel like he was able to do it with magnetic frequency. Now I believe I read how he did it because Doc laid it out, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But nobody actually saw him do it. But he had neighbors who lived around him. He kind of stayed to himself, so he didn't really, get involved with the neighbors like that. But they just saw and it didn't take him a long time either. After a certain period of time, they didn't see him. He went away for a while, and boom, they come back. Bro got a whole stone castle.
That's
I
crazy.
can't make this up, man. Yeah. Check it out when you get a chance. It's real, man. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like we have receipts of people who I feel like of extraterrestrial origins walking right amongst us, you know what I'm saying? And doing, extraterrestrial things. I mean, hell, look at Doc. He built real pyramids right there in Tamarí. You know what I mean? In Georgia. Yeah. Like those pyramids align with the stars and the constellations of Orion, just like the ones in Kemet. So he did that right here on, in Georgia. So it's like you can't not mistake the Techanu's and the pyramids that he built that align with the same star system right here in Georgia. So,
and what's crazy is, man, there's going to be a new intelligence that's coming. I keep telling people about the Regulus star system unifying with the Sphinx in Egypt. It's going to be in alignment, and they said that star is supposed to glow red. And from my independent research, I think that's the red star Kachina. I think that's basically the final sign before you have the activation of the seven thunders. Because they said that's the Christ. They said that's the Christ energy.
Yeah, I feel like it's here. Honestly, I do, because the blue one that's already been seen, right? Wasn't the Atlas? It was Atlas 3I or 3-1 or whatever. Wasn't that supposed to be representation of the blue star Kachina?
Yep.
Wow. Yep. So the red one can't be far behind if it's not already here. I feel like it's here, but that's just my little 2 cents. Okay, so I know it's definitely coming now. So do you got time for like maybe 1 or 2 questions real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So shout out to the First Sync. She said it was Homestead, Florida. Appreciate you. I knew it was somewhere in Florida. Let me see. Well, I'll throw one out there now. Lejeune McGoldrick said, movie night patrol. Bdell, what recommendations do you have for families to check out on movie night?
Right now, watch the movie San Andreas. Watch that. San Andreas. It shows you the United States Capitol Tower building in LA, how it exploded, you know. So it could be like, because there's a big one that's going to be happening in that geographical location. They talking about the activation of a certain fault line. So it's something to look at. And then remember, you had those golden eggs that was underneath that volcano.
I forgot about them. We hadn't spoke about that since like way last year when me, you and Rod, me, you and Big Chief had a couple shows together. We spoke about that. So what's the deal with them? Has there been any developments?
No, I haven't heard anything else about it, but you know, because you know, according to when you get into the esoterics of geomancy, California in itself is the root chakra of planet Earth.
Yes.
So in order to raise up the consciousness, it's economically smart and, you know, spiritually smart at the same time. If you want to cause the reset in a great purification period, you want to start it at the root chakra with a new consciousness with the red star that's coming from Regulus, because that represents the purification period as you transition to 2027, which represents separation, but the separation is also connected to the Kemetic instruments of the crook and the flail, because the year is the year of the lamb and the sheep. And the crook in itself represents the galvanization of the shepherd, galvanizing the chosen ones, the sign of the lamb. So all this is really biblical. If you really look at this whole thing, it's really just telling you what is happening in real time when it comes to our genetics and what's taking place from a consciousness standpoint.
So it sounds like it's kind of clearing out the you know, the separation for the chosen 144,000. Is that what that's about?
That's what it looks like, because, you know, 2027, according to the prophecy of popes, that's the end of the world, and that's the collapse of the Vatican Church. So the collapse of the church is the resurrection of you, because you're the real temple. You know, so that's how. I mean, that kind of that's how I see it, man. And so it only makes sense for, you know, if you want to raise up the consciousness, because like I said, there's always two different timelines going on at the same time. You have a spiritual timeline, and you got a physical timeline that is acclimated to civics and politics and economics. So so a psychological operation could happen right at the root chakra of planet Earth, because especially during the time period, every time we go through a state of calamity, that's when the frequency rises, because you get more people speaking up more. You know, you get more people wanting to buck against the system, rebellious energy. You know what I'm saying? And I just got a download. And then when you look at the I told you about the three solar eclipses, 2017, 2023, and 2024, it creates the anarchy symbol. Ancient Alp creates, so you get anarchy in America when you have a psychological operation. And then that A, you can put it over, you know, you got LA, you can put that A right over that same sigil.
Yeah.
L represents God.
And then it cross over multiple states, like 13, 14 states or something like that.
What?
That A for the anarchy, when it crossed over the lands of America. Didn't it like cross over like 13?
I think that was the 2017 solar eclipse.
Yeah, that's crazy. Isn't it, if I'm not mistaken, I know California, they say, is like the root chakra of planet Earth, but is like the more isolated, I guess, like specific space of that, is that considered to be where Mount Shasta is up there in California?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because there's a lot of activity over there in Mount Shasta, buddy. A lot of crafts going in and out of the planet, and they have that. What is that luminous? What is that cloud called that covers Mount Shasta? Where you can tell like there's a lot of extraterrestrial, a lot of space activity that happens up there too, because of the way the cloud is situated over Mount Shasta. I forgot what it's called, but it's a different type of cloud where you don't see it. Not too many. I don't know if it's anywhere else on the planet, but I know for sure this particular cloud covers Mount Shasta, and I believe it's because of how much activity that takes place with crafts coming in and out of our atmosphere, or in and out of the actual mountain, you know, within itself. So kind of like, it reminds me of Black Panther. You know how like when they went back to Wakanda, how you had like that kind of like vault open up in the cave or into, you know what I'm saying, like how they can go fly into the cavern. Like I believe Mount Shasta has that type of activity and capabilities as well. Because if you look, I forgot the name of that doggone cloud. Tribe, if y'all can help me out with that, the name of that cloud that flies Mount Shasta, that I appreciate y'all. But yeah, it's dope, man. If you just do a Google search and you look at it, you're like, yeah, okay, that's different. It's real different. But yeah,
because a lot of the clouds are really used as a mechanism for cloaking technology for the spaceships. And in the cloaking technology, it operates on 4th octave ether. Yep.
That's deep. That's what's up. Let me see. I got 2 more quick ones. Don Zave said, "Will the Galactic Federation get involved?" What's your thoughts on that, bro?
It was a guy. His name I forgot. It's an interview. His name is Chris Drogonin or something like that. Drogen, and he said that that when we're at the apex of war, the Galactic Federation is going to infiltrate. Because remember, I think in World War II, they almost cracked the Earth with nukes, and then that's when they had a meeting with the Galactic Federation. And they were saying, like, we better calm down or we're going to come to the surface or whatever. Because if you're manipulating things on the surface, you're also destroying things that's taking place inside the planet. Because they also have a structure and an order that they go by.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you something, man, too. And I have to say this because that's just where we are on the planet right now. That's a real thing, bro. Because shout out to Millie. She's been on the channel many times, but she's my Reiki master. She's my Reiki healer. So I go to her to get my tune-ups, my energy tune-ups. And one of my sessions, I literally was in the vicinity of the Galactic Federation. And it was powerful, but I'll never forget that experience because, mind you, I'm not asleep because I'm in a Reiki session, but I was able to astral project, which I've done several times during my sessions. And so in this astral projection, I was guided by a guide that brought me into the realm, into the room of the Federation. It was some of the most profound, prolific things I've ever seen in my life. And it goes back to the experience I was sharing with you the other day about that dream that I had about the mothership that I was sharing with you. I don't remember what David was talking off air, but it's some real things going on, man, because I had some dimension traveling going on last night, and I got confirmation that it happened because one of the elders called me to let me know that they had some interaction with me in another dimension. So we got a lot of things happening right now, family, where the dreamers out there, pay attention to those dreams. The seers out there, pay attention to your visions. The people who have the ability to see things in other realms or dimensions or to be able to pull down information, pay attention to that because it's going to be relevant for the rest of us on the planet to get access to this information and to know what's happening, what's going down, because definitely a monumental shift taking place right now, right before our very eyes, all 3 eyes for that matter. Yeah, it's deep, man. But one last one if you got time. Living Truth said, so the Archons are like that TV show, but I'm not sure which TV show because that was from a while ago. So my apologies, Living Truth. I'm not sure. We talked about a lot of different shows, but ODJ or G says, what about Warner von Braun and what he said about the disclosure agenda?
Well, I think especially during this timeline, it can be used as deflection for the Epstein files, just like the war too. Like, so I gotta look at the documentary of what the guy's talking about, but I haven't came across that information.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's about. I don't see too many more. Mostly comments. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't want to keep you past the time, bro. So I definitely tried. But I appreciate all y'all. I tried to get as many questions as I could in before we get out of here. But I definitely plan on making this thing happen next week. We have to lock in. I'll get with Brother Bdell and lock in a day and time where we can bring back the war report, man, and keep y'all up to speed with what's happening in the planet and in the world, and definitely in these United States of America. So yeah, man. With that being said, you got anything you want to leave with the tribe before we check out of this thing?
Right now, just kind of stay tapped in and don't look for any type of external stimulation. And so just be very meticulous when you go out in public, because the deep state shadow government, they need some type of psychological operation to perpetuate this energy exchange that they got, with these dark forces. So stay out of, big crowds, I know it's spring break right now, you know, so just kind of just, you know, pay attention to your surroundings in this time period.
Facts. Yeah.
Have fun, but don't have too much fun. Have some balance.
Oh, yeah.
Because
we definitely have war, family. And for those of us who were born in the 80s and 70s and, you know, a little later, with this, that's been going on since before we got here. So, you know, so look, we just here to come do what we came here to do, you know, to make it happen, to bring about this transformation, man, to usher in the globe into this age of Aquarius, you know, for us to see the next dimension, man. So we definitely on our way to the 5th dimension of ascension. Shout out to Outcast, because we are now entering the 5th dimension of ascension. Not only intention is to take you high. So with that, man, appreciate you, bro. I'll definitely be in touch, you know, see if we can line up another war report for the tribe, man. But as always, there's another epic conversation. Appreciate all the love and support, family, for all the tribe members out there, for all the rice members that brought the rice bowls. We appreciate y'all, family, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. We are out. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors, embrace your